people from the crash bury over round the corner. They grave them round there now, but no tomb no there.
In 1957, Norman Manley was chief minister. Alfred Hitchcock's new thriller, Vertigo, had recently premiered at the Carib Cinema, and Radio Jamaica and Radio Fusion filled the airwaves with programs such as Talent Parade and Alma Makian's Tea Time. It was the final weekend of summer, and the parishioners of the Holy Name Society of St. Anne's Roman Catholic Church in Kingston, led by the Reverend Father Charles Iberl, were busy making preparations for an all-day excursion to Montego Bay. The trip had been widely publicized throughout the city, and hundreds had planned to make the journey. Welcome back to Elite Jamaica, the place you come to learn about Jamaica and Jamaicans. If it's your first time joining me here, consider subscribing to the channel by clicking that red subscribe button, and do remember to turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon so you never miss any of my updates.
I'm on the mission. A mission. Today is the day.
On Sunday, September 1st, 1957, the platform at the Kingston railway station was abuzz with would-be travelers eager to secure a coveted seat on the diesel-hauled train readying for departure. The trip to Montego Bay was a smooth one. Reverend Father Charles Iberl made his way through the coaches conducting mass with his excited congregants. The return trip to Kingston, however, would never reach its destination. After a day of fun in the second city, weary travelers piled into the 12 wooden passenger coaches. The numbers had increased significantly. At 130 to 150 passengers in each coach, well over the train's capacity of 80 persons per car, the train bore the weight of 1,600 souls. Barreling through the night at full speed over rough terrain, the rattling locomotive approached a bend in the rails near the town of Kendal, Manchester. At around 11:10 p.m., several hundred yards from the main road to Balaclava, 3 train whistle blasts signaled disaster. The driver had lost control of the train.
Then we heard the whistle blowing. And normally when the whistle is blowing, it means something. Something is coming on the line. The driver is giving a warning or something. And then after we heard the whistle, then, everything just went berserk.
On Wednesday, September 3rd, 1957, the train conductor, Garnett Lurch, in an interview with the Daily Gleaner, said, and I quote, "I then shouted to the observer, Theophilus James, who was beside me, 'We're dead now, we're dead now.' I prepared myself for death and made 3 blasts of the whistle to warn those behind that something was wrong." End quote. A report from the Star newspaper on September 2nd, 1957 stated, "The passenger cars came loose from the engine and the derailed coaches toppled into the gully to the side of the tracks in a pile. 2 were reduced literally to matchwood, while others were gutted or had sides torn out. 1 coach, with everything but the floor torn away, remained on the rails and kept on running for about a quarter of a mile." The morning dawned on a grisly scene of bodies strewn across the countryside. Some had died on impact, while many were critically injured, impaled by the twisted metal and wooden fragments. There are many heart-wrenching accounts of survivors searching for their loved ones among the carnage while looters brazenly stole the possessions of the dead and dying. The remaining coaches were in utter shambles, with dead and injured inside and underneath them, survivors screaming, calling for help, or crying the names of relatives or friends. Hospitals at Spalding's and Maypen were filled to overflowing as medical staff made appeals for volunteers and blood donations from the public. At Mandeville, all the bodies were laid out on the grassy knoll behind the hospital, where lights were strung on wires from a couple of large trees and a small wooden building serving as an office and shelter. Their anxious relatives filed by all night, trying to identify someone dear to them. The Kendal train crash left 187 dead and 700 injured. Many were later buried in a mass grave near the crash site. The Friday of that week, September 8, 1957, was observed as a national day of mourning, as world leaders sent messages of condolence and sympathy to the Jamaican people. Through the ensuing Railway Commission of Inquiry, the cause of the crash was discovered to be a closure of an angled wheel brake cock. It was suggested the brakes had been tampered with. The inquiry found many deficiencies in the Jamaica Government Railway and asserted that the trains had been kept in poor condition. The report submitted could not have been more blunt. Mr. Magnus, the acting general manager, has shown by his conduct in procuring a false brake certificate that he lacks the integrity which one must expect of an officer occupying that position. Yet, despite the findings of the inquiry, research showed that it was the overcrowding of the coaches that played the greatest role in the extent of the carnage.
Because the two engines that pulled the train were in front. And nothing was wrong with the two engines. They were perfect on the line. And they had brakes. But the weight of the coaches that coming down the hill, when the engine applied its brake, it could stop, but the train buffed into it and somersault over.
Additional coaches had been added to accommodate the large numbers of passengers to whom the church had sold tickets. There was just too many people aboard the train. After the disaster at Kendal, all wooden coaches were replaced with sturdier metal ones. Still, public confidence in rail transport took a sharp decline. The Kendal train crash was a national disaster that touched the lives of thousands of Jamaicans. The story of what happened at Kendal must never be forgotten. Were you or someone you know affected in some way by the Kendal train crash? Please share your experience with us in the comments section below. Jano the rooster can't wait till me done record for start back. Thank you for joining me again, guys. I really do hope you found this video interesting or found it informative. If it's the first time you have heard about the Kendal train crash, please leave your comment down below. And remember, you can subscribe to Elite Jamaica by clicking that red subscribe button, and turn on notifications by clicking that blue bell icon so you never miss any of my updates. Peeps, the rooster confused me. Blessings, everybody. I am Alex. Until next time, bless.
I'm on the mission. A mission. Today's the day. Start your ignition. Let's take it away.